So I want to continue the conversation on the migrant crisis, especially with the constant request for federal funding. You just heard it. So to answer that, I want to bring in our next guest, Congressman Dan Goldman. Good morning to you, Congressman. Thanks for being here.
Great to be with you, Dan.
So we just had the Deputy Mayor of Communications on laying out how dire the situation, is, putting a $12 billion price tag on the crisis, a bill the city simply cannot afford. We've heard this time and time again. Is Washington hearing the message here?
Well, we are delivering the message loud and clear. The entire delegation of Congress, of the Democrats at least, met with Secretary Mayorkas, Tom Perez from the White House, with the mayor a couple weeks ago, and we've seen a little bit of movement. One of the problems that we have is there is only a certain amount of money that has been appropriated to FEMA for reimbursement for things such as the migrant crisis here. That's $800 million for this entire fiscal year for the entire country. That's, of course, woefully insufficient for what New York is dealing with. So there are multiple steps to this process that first we need to make sure that we have space for everyone who is coming, that we have shelter, that we have services, that we have food, and that we welcome all of these migrants as true New Yorkers, which is with open arms, as so many of us have come from other places through into New York City. Then what we need to be focused on is, and we are focused on, is getting expedited work authorization for as many of them as possible so that they can be integrated into the community, integrated into the economy, and get off of out of the city shelters into their own housing.
Let me jump in here for a second.
That is, of course,
Let me just jump in for a second, because that is what everybody's saying. The work authorizations, sure, come on over to New York, let's get them to work, right? How long does that take, the process, to expedite that?
Well, it could happen any day. It needs to be a designation or redesignation of TPS status for up to 5 countries in the Northern Triangle and Central America, where the vast majority of the migrants are coming from, into New York City. We are in regular discussions with the White House and with the Department of Homeland Security about this. They understand the needs. I think there is going to be a serial process. First is dealing with the shelter issues, because that is the immediate term. Second is dealing with work authorizations. That's the intermediate term. And then in the long term, it's going to have to be reimbursement to the city and the state, potentially, with federal funds that are going to have to be appropriated by Congress.
Briefly here, because I want to move on to other topics, but briefly, Congressman Jamal Bowman said that this is really impacting the 2024 election. If things do not change, Democrats could be in danger of not keeping control of the House. Do you agree with the sentiment?
Well, look, I think this needs to be resolved, and I think it has the potential of spiraling out of control. Obviously, New York is going to be command central for the 2024 race in the House. We are going to have to flip several seats in New York in order to regain the majority. And so this is, as I think you pointed out, the top of mind to all New Yorkers. And what we are going to need, and what we've been working towards, is a very collaborative and cohesive effort by the city, state, and federal officials in order to address what is a serious crisis. And what we've been emphasizing, Dan, to the White House, to the Department of Homeland Security, is that as the border crossings have gone down in the South, the arrivals of new migrants in New York have increased. So the urgency for our needs far outweigh the urgency for the needs on the southern border, and we need action soon.
All right, keep us posted on that. I'm moving to a different topic, which is the latest indictment of former President Trump. Here we are, 4 very serious indictments. Historic was the first, now we're at 4. Do you have a sense, Congressman, that it's really having an impact on your colleagues across the aisle here?
It is their sole focus. They are acting as Donald Trump's personal taxpayer-funded attorneys. The concept here that none of them have criticized Donald Trump at all for his conduct or have indicated that he should be held accountable if, in fact, he committed these 90-plus felonies that he's been charged with by a grand jury. This is not some kangaroo system we have here. This is a very time-tested, regulated, and sophisticated criminal process that we have in this country, where the defendant, Donald Trump, has enormous constitutional rights to make sure that he is actually guilty of the crimes he's charged with. And yet the House Republicans are using their official power and the official authority of Congress to intervene on behalf of Donald Trump. It is an abuse of power. It is inappropriate. And it is frankly shameful that they are coming to the defense of someone who has been charged with such serious crimes, including subverting our democracy.
Who is still, by the way, the front runner for the Republican Party in the race for the White House. Meanwhile, there's a special counsel overseeing the Hunter Biden case. Many Republicans, as you know, using this as a counterpunch to the Trump indictments. Briefly, because we're almost out of time, do you see the two as comparable?
Of course not. Hunter Biden is being investigated by the Department of Justice. He is a private citizen. Whatever happens with the Department of Justice should happen. If he committed crimes, he should be charged with them. But they are trying to link Hunter Biden's issues and his finances to President Biden, and there is no link there. They have not come forward with any actual evidence to support those allegations. On the other hand, we have 4 indictments of serious criminal conduct by the former president of the United States. These are apples and oranges, and the idea of equating them is a total farce.
Congressman Dan Goldman, appreciate your time. You're always busy, but I appreciate you making the time for Picks on Politics. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Dan.